Hi, today is Monday, May 11th, 2020, and this is my council update for you this evening. We met as a committee of the whole and as a city council this evening from 5 to about 7:47. Talked about a couple different things. Chief among them were the Montgomery Drain Project and the fiscal year 21 budget. The Montgomery Drain Project is something that we've been talking about somewhat regularly over the last 6 years when council and the city petitioned the county for an analysis of the Montgomery Drain to see if it needed to be repaired or what work could be done to help clean up the water there at the Red Cedar River, as well as all the drainage that's happening over near Frandor. The city did receive back from the county an approval of that petition, and then the drain commissioner went to work. What we have now is a $35 million project that will be paid for over 30 years with bonds from the drain office and an assessment done on the city of Lansing and other jurisdictions. 64% of the drain district is in the city of Lansing, so the city of Lansing will be on the hook for 64% of that costs, approximately $22 million. It's about $1.37 million on an annual basis for the city when you factor in interest and fees and maintenance. Typically with drain projects, we've been able to absorb those projects in our general fund. $1.3 million is a lot of money in normal times, let alone a time when we're experiencing huge revenue losses from the pandemic and the massive shutdown of the state and local economy. So we really don't have the option of putting that onto the general fund. But what's been proposed to us by the administration is two-part. One is a special assessment on residents and business owners in the served district of the drain. And that would mean for about 183 parcels, exactly 183 parcels rather, a special assessment. For residents, that's 125 parcels, and the 30-year assessment ranges from $1,062 to $12,692. On average, you're looking at about $377 annually per residential parcel. For the businesses, it's a little bit different scenario. There are 55 businesses, and the minimum 30-year charge would be $9,635. The maximum 30-year charge would be $2.7 million, with an average 30-year charge of $192,000 and an average annual charge of $11,831. That covers half the cost. The final 50% would be raised through a citywide tax done under the drain code, which would be about 0.26 mils or $2,600. I'm sorry, not 2,600. $26 per $100,000 of taxable value. So if your home was worth $100,000, the taxable value is about $50,000. So $13 or so would be your anticipated assessment for this drain district. We're now in the process of determining whether we will pass that resolution as is using the special assessment and the drain tax, whether we use 100% drain tax, whether we use 100% special assessment, combination of the two, and maybe some general fund, or all general fund. And as I said, all general fund is probably not going to happen even in the best of times. That project is beginning soon. Bids are already out on that, and we expect to see shovels in the ground later this year, but nothing for sure yet. We also discussed the fiscal year 21 budget, which is a very different budget than what was presented to us in February for reasons that we all can understand. But we're looking at an enormous reduction in revenues, some expenditures, and fund balance, unfortunately. The administration has proposed several cost-saving measures to help mitigate some loss of, or some expenditures that won't necessarily translate into reduction in city services. One is a reduction in our basic human services line item. Now we figure that line item by it's 1.25% of our general fund revenues. And when those revenues go down, that dollar amount goes down. So it is a $243,000 reduction in that line item based on formula alone. We've also seen a reduction proposed in the LEPFA subsidy by $200,000. $462,000 accomplished through the fiscal year 21 LEAP contract from the Economic Development Corporation's reserve, rollover existing facade programs, funding from previous years instead of funding for FY21. It's about $50,000 left in that. So rather than the about $162,000 that we've been spending on that, we would only spend the $52,000 left over from this year under the proposal. we've seen $214,000 reduction proposed by eliminating our Common Ground subsidy, which helps because we aren't going to do Common Ground this year. A few other things, Sister Cities, Rail Council, Arts and Culture grants reduction of a little bit, moving a few things around. And then also the mayor has proposed using about $2.2 million of the sale of Red Cedar, which I think is all of it, to use capital improvement projects in the parks. So those dollars were earmarked for parks. Now we're spending them on parks to free up $2.2 million in the Parks and Rec budget. Additionally, we're proposing the elimination of funding for the 4th of July event, which would be the fireworks and the parade. Many municipalities around us are doing that, and we're following suit in this proposal. We also are looking at a closure of the Morris Park pool for this year, which was anticipated anyway, but that is a reduction in $20,000 in savings. The conversation came up too about Hunter Park, and it is likely we will close Hunter Park this year as well, given the realities that no one's probably going to go swimming and that social distancing is rather challenging in a pool. Not a good idea to wear a mask either. There's also some training and travel reductions in an amount of $80,000, so training and travel for city staff will be reduced by about $80,000, and then a freeze on non-essential hiring will save us about $700,000, and then there are some administrative changes netting out about $2.7 million. All in, $7.1 million in savings have been proposed. $4.3 million of that is ongoing, and $2.7 is one-time money. City Council will meet yet again as a committee of the whole sometime this week, yet to be determined, and then again Monday night as committee of the whole and council. At that time, we will propose our final budget to the administration. I've said all along that what we propose on Monday will more than likely not be what's the final budget overall, but by charter, we must have that budget to the mayor by Monday, the 18th. So we will do that. And then almost instantly, we'll begin working, we'll begin working with the administration and other members of the council to develop an amendment to the budget when more information is made available from state and local sources. The council also took up a few issues this evening. An ordinance to allow the Lansing Housing Commission to own and transact real property in its own name and remove certain approvals by the city. This is done so that the city, Lansing Housing Commission rather, can go ahead and sell some of their properties, but also do what's called a RAD conversion and use existing dollars and federal funds to upgrade some of their larger housing projects that are in great need of investment from the LHC. So I fully support this. We will make this change finally on Monday the 18th, but we had our public hearing this evening. And then the other public hearing we had was a noise waiver for Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. from May 16th through September 19th for underground utility work at Forest Road. This is in conjunction with the McLaren Hospital, and we're doing this to allow them to catch up on some of the work that's been delayed due to the COVID-19 outbreak and also finish on time so that the hospital project can continue as planned. Additionally, this evening we passed a resolution extending the state of emergency for the city of Lansing to June 8th. Although that is longer than the governor's state of emergency, we anticipate the governor will extend her state of emergency beyond the 28th of this month. And if she doesn't, we still have our state of emergency in place, which allows the city to apply for state and federal resources under a state of emergency. The mayor may terminate that order early if he feels it necessary, but in reality, I think we're going to end up with a state of emergency that goes far beyond June 8th as we look to purchase PPE for our frontline workers and all those types of things. So that's important. Additionally, the council approved the hiring of Renee Richmond as the City Council Committee Clerk and Administrative Assistant. This position has been vacant since January when we began the hiring process after our existing employee took a different position with the City of Lansing. So we began that process back in January and we were ready to move forward, but then COVID-19 hit and the hiring freeze. Subsequently also our internal auditor left for personal reasons. So City Council staff has been operating at pretty bare bones with one staff member. And this means that our office manager rarely has an opportunity to, if she's sick, to call in sick or take a Friday off or those types of things. So we wanted to make sure we were back up to at least 2/3 staff. So we hired Ms. Richmond, and she will begin her tasks tomorrow. That is it for the City Council agenda. As always, feel free to communicate with me, drop your comments direct your questions in the comments section, email, phone call, whatever I can do to be here for you, answering your questions. Please feel free to reach out to me. In the meantime, continue to stay home and stay safe. Thank you, Lansing, for tuning in, and have a good evening.